I'm Christopher McClure, IT Director for the Town of Hopkinton and host of Manager's Corner. This program reminds you that local government is here for you. Manager's Corner allows you to meet the diverse group of people who make your local Hopkinton government run and helps to increase transparency, communication, citizen engagement, and service. Each month, you will have the opportunity to see and hear the people who make up the various town departments, boards, and committees. You will learn about them, the role and function of their departments, and available services. Manager's Corner will share the successes, challenges, and plans of your local government to help keep you informed and involved in the decisions affecting you. As departments are featured on Manager's Corner, their episodes are linked on the various homepages on www.hopkintonma.gov. We encourage you to visit us online and follow us on Twitter at HopkintonMA. As always, I want to hear from you. Email cmcclure@hopkintonma.gov with guest or topic requests for this show. So this week we have Fire Chief Ken Clark.
Good morning, Chris. Thank you for inviting me to the show.
No problem. I know you're no stranger to HCAM.
No, a couple of times.
Definitely a familiar face in the community. One of the focuses of Manager's Corner is to really let residents know what services the departments are providing to them and kind of what they can expect from the department, and also a little bit about what happens behind the scenes that they may not see on a daily basis. I know one of the most interesting parts for working in local government for me in IT is the relationship I get to develop with the local public safety, police, and fire. In IT we always joke about putting out fires, but you guys put out the real ones. So let me just talk a little bit about the fire department, some of its core functions.
Okay, thank you, Chris. And before we even start, I'd like to thank you for all your help with our IT. I know we're building that program at my station from infancy, and you've been very helpful with that. Okay, the fire department in Hopkinton, we have 24 career personnel and 1 administrative manager and 8 call firefighters. So we're a fire department that's kind of transitioning every day. Very dynamic and diverse group of people. We deliver to the community fire-based advanced life support on the medical side. Since 2006, we have been licensed by the state to provide paramedic service EMS to the town of Hopkinton in the neighboring communities on a mutual aid basis, and also to the Mass Turnpike and to Route 495, which is in our first due area. So we spend a lot of time on those 2 roadways. Some of the other things is not only the fire and the EMS, we have a very active training section of the fire department headed up by Lieutenant Poria. Our Fire Prevention Bureau is very, 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 very busy, which collaborates almost on a day-to-day basis with Building Inspector Chuck Cadlick, and Bob Santucci heads up the Fire Prevention Bureau and does an outstanding job of as simple an inspection as the smoke detectors and CO detectors in a residential home when it's going to be sold, to reviewing a fire alarm plan or a sprinkler plan for a new construction for, say, like Price Chopper or 22 South Street in that neighborhood. That would cover the installation of the fire alarm, sprinklers, and then also, excuse me, the testing of those systems when they're ready to go online and prior to sign off for the occupancy permit. We're also very active in the community in many, many different ways. As part of the fire prevention is public education, and it reaches anything from going to the kindergartens. And I think our most popular one that we have every year is coming up in the next couple of weeks, and that's where our K classes at the center school walk to the fire station and visit, and we do a fire safety talk, a tour of the firehouse, give them some trinkets to walk away with that are fire and safety based, and the teachers attend with that. And so we have a very strong working relationship with the K staff at the center school for many, many years, some of them, and that's something that all of my personnel look forward to, is those kids visiting. It's kind of like a light day, and it's really enjoyable. Another important thing that we have that my firefighters are involved with is Patrick Gross in providing certified car seat installer to the community. People can call our admin, Mary Carver, at 508-435-0555 and leave the information with her, and she can, the next time Patrick's on, she'll share that information with him, and Patrick can call and schedule a time when he's on duty to do the car seat installations.
Great.
That's just some of the things. There's a lot of other things that we do in the community. That's kind of like the bullets.
All right, so definitely we'll encourage people to visit the fire department webpage, and also call the fire department and take advantage of the car seat program, the education program. I know what people always envision when they think of the fire department is going to house fires and putting those out, or dealing with ambulance calls. But the real work is preventing fires, educating people, doing the inspections. A lot of people deal when they're buying or selling a house with getting the fire inspection, and I know that can be seen as kind of a burden sometimes. But maybe talk a little bit about why that's so important, and why those laws are there to make sure that homes have smoke detectors and fire inspections.
Very good question, Chris. The laws to require homes to have smoke detectors installed started with new construction, I think, in 1965, and then with resale of residential properties in 1981. So we've been involved with them, and I was assigned to fire prevention for almost 20 years prior to being deputy chief, and right through the big building boom in Hopkins. And so that is, we identified early and share with our personnel. That's a critical function to make our residents safer, and not only for the residents but also for the firefighters. If we can identify a fire or a potential hazard in a structure early, get the early warning, respond efficiently and quickly, that lessens the potential injury to our firefighters also who are working in the structure. So you want to, if there's a small, you want to keep it small, you want to get on it quick, take care of it, restore the family to as much normalcy as possible prior to leaving, and then return to quarters and get ready for the next one.
Great. Well, one of the things that interests me about government and public safety in general is, as much as we talk about efficiency and cost savings, there are some functions in government that are just inherently inefficient, that were prescribed by law to do, or there's a matter of public safety, that public safety has to come first, and we have to figure out how to do that as efficiently as possible. And I know it's a challenge to try to figure out how to be prepared enough without being over-prepared for situations to manage limited resources. One of the reasons a community like Hopkinton is attractive is great schools. It's seen as a safe community because of great departments like the fire department and the police department. But maybe talk a little bit about the relationships you have with the regional communities, with departments in town, to figure out how to manage those limited resources to make sure that you have adequate personnel and training and equipment, so that when an emergency happens, we're able to respond with those limited resources.
Another good question, Chris. So the first thing that comes to my mind with that question is the sharing of resources. Hopkinton does not have a ladder truck. We have a lot of buildings on South Street, and sometimes they say, oh, a ladder truck when you can get to a building, but aesthetic value is very critical, especially to the residential people in Hopkinton, and there's a lot of lawns and driveways. So you're not able to get really up close in front to a lot of buildings, so the reach of a ladder truck is critical. Ours went out of service, which was bought used by EMC from Milford Fire when they replaced theirs many years ago. And we used it for a number of years, but then it failed to pass some yearly minimum testing requirements that is required of older ladders. So we had to go to a Plan B option, which was to establish automatic mutual aid with Ashland. We work very closely with that department, almost on a day-to-day basis, especially with the EMS, but also with the fire side. So we establish a standard operating guideline, SOG, that allows us to, when they have a structure fire in Ashland, we will immediately send an engine, a staffed engine down there to assist them at the scene, and they will send their tower company to help us. So one hand helps the other. Some other sharing resources or regionalization efforts that we're in, another critical one is in emergency management. By federal standard, we're required to have a local emergency planning committee, which is an LEPC. We have one that is active, but we reached out on a regionalization with 6 communities to form a regional emergency planning committee, REPC. Those include Hopkinton, Ashland, Framingham, Natick, Sherburne, and Holliston. That allows us to share resources. There's a lot of institutional knowledge on this committee, anywhere from DPW to the boards of health to the fire to the police. And so now it's we share each other. We have a serious incident in Natick. We can share our resources and our abilities with them, and vice versa. So that's working out. That was almost 2 years to get that through MEMA at the state level to get that on schedule and get it certified. But it was recently, within the past 2 months, certified. We had our first meeting last month in our building since it was certified. So it's like we have meetings of that committee quarterly. And it's been a very, very efficient and functional group. Another thing on the emergency management side that we have locally, the emergency management is very, very critical, and I was just very lucky Monday night to be invited to the Women's Club to speak primarily about emergency management along with a representative from MEMA from the state. And that's kind of a passion of mine, and I like to be, as a department and as a town, be prepared for severe weather events or any of that type of impact of either a large portion of our population or even the whole town. And so we do a lot of work. We have what we call the emergency management group, which consists of the town manager, the deputy chief, the police chief, the police lieutenant, John Westling at the DPW, his two managers, Eric Hardy and Mike Manzer, Ed Wertanen at Board of Health, and myself. There's a 9-member board that we hang out, and I have a meeting this afternoon actually for that. Yeah. So it's like it came in. It was very crucial, the functionality of that group last year when we had our severe weather events, that we would meet mid-morning. It gave us the early part of the morning to go out and kind of gather field intelligence of what happened overnight, what services were brought back online, possibly by NSTAR Electric or whoever, gather the information and take it to our meeting between 9:09 and 10 hours in the morning. Then we were able to identify priorities that we would share with NSTAR for the following day. And we get together. It was like at the most an hour meeting. We had some up on the whiteboard. We had a running list of streets that were out without power and how many people were on those streets. And every day we could cross them off and move forward and reset our priorities. So that was critical. Just in a couple of more quick regional collaborations that I'll share with is one is the technical rescue team. A technical rescue team is a team that can respond to any rope rescues, confined space collapses, trench collapses, and specially trained people. And no fire department around here has the resources or the physical capability of doing that by themselves. It's a 26-member team, and those resources and that cost is shared with Milford, Hopkinton, Ashland, and Framingham at this time. It may expand soon. There's been some expansion talk, but that has not come to fruition yet. And so we do that with on a regional level, and the training is like monthly. They do a 4-hour, and then yearly they have to do 8-hour refreshers in each of those primary functions. Excuse me. So that's one other one, and we just were in service, I think it was Monday morning, but we had a car in the water over on, got a call for a car in the water over at Lake Whitehall at the Woodville Boat Landing, and our dive capability is through another regional approach that includes Hopkinton, Ashland, Framingham, and Northborough. And so, we're reaching out from the immediate area and going over to Northborough for some resources. And we had a call last week there for a vehicle in the water, unknown if there was anybody in it. We needed some divers to get to it where it was. It wasn't far from shore. It was 40 to 50 yards, but the water conditions were poor for visibility. So we had to pull some divers in along with our surface water rescue personnel to confirm that there wasn't anybody in the vehicle, but also to hook it so that we could remove the hazard from the water in the state park at Whitehall. We activated the regional dive team. They sent personnel, and it was a seamless function. They developed an incident action plan for the dive team that fit with the incident action plan that we had for the incident, and they carried that through, and with successful fruition again, no injuries. And everyone went home at the end of the operation, and the vehicle was removed from the water. No one was in it. That was a good thing.
Well, and I know training is a big piece of the preparedness. Yeah. And even though Hopkinton isn't going to have anywhere near the numbers of a city like Boston or Worcester, the calls are just as dangerous, just as real, and your staff has to be trained and prepared to deal with anything. So how do you deal with the challenge of not having the practical experience of having large numbers to respond to, but making sure that people have the sophisticated training and apparatus they need to be able to respond.
Well, there's two parts of that. There's EMS and the fire side. The emergency medical services, the basic EMTs, the intermediate, and then the paramedics. They all have training that we need to do that's required by the state. Minimum requirements, refreshers every 2 years. Actually, we run the basic one next month. And so that's something that's kind of like set by the state. The fire training is not as set by the state, but since 2007, we have had a training officer. It's a lieutenant. That is, his primary function is to develop the lesson plans and develop training so that when the shifts are on every day of the week when he's there, which is Monday through Thursday, 4 10-hour days, he delivers a minimum of an hour plus lesson plan to the firefighters every day that they're there. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 hours in the day to get it done between calls. Yeah. But, and sometimes they'll be gone for the day, and you'll pick it up the next shift that they're in. But he has a very dynamic schedule. Lieutenant Tom Poirier heads up the training section, does a fantastic job. He's a detail-oriented type person. It's not an easy job to teach and keep people interested in the basic core functions, and he does a really good job at it. And the guys are very receptive to the programs that he brings. Anywhere from we started switching over to some new meters that will monitor air conditions and flammables and things like that. Our old one was going out of service and not going to be made any longer shortly. So we had to transition to some new ones. And the initial ones that we got, he delivered the training to all the groups. We have a new program that we're getting involved with, and the guys are in the middle of their training now to locate missing persons. It's kind of like a LoJack system. It's the same company, LoJack, but they have a missing person that someone wears a bracelet, and you track it with a handheld device that allows you to identify and cross-reference. It's kind of like the old initial avalanche detection systems when someone wore these when they were maybe caught in an avalanche and would help you locate them. They've taken that a step further, and you buy a bracelet. They give the training and the equipment free to the public safety agencies. We do it in Hopkinton. And then if we have one of those citizens in town that belong to that program, which we do, then we will go out and if they walk away from a house or for whatever the medical reason is that they might be wanderers or whatever, we'll go put the resources together, and Ashland also has the system so we can share resources with them and personnel and equipment.
Yeah, and I have been impressed with how receptive the fire department and the police department have been to using technology. And I know we're working on using our new GIS and mapping system and some other things.
Well, you're teaching us that, and it's like we're going along, and you are bringing those processes to us that we don't. Again, I'm a little bit on the technology challenge side, as you know. But when you bring those in, and we can look at a problem that we deal with and say, that will help us with this, that will help with that or that, and we can just reach it. It's like you said, it's like a toolbox. We open up a toolbox and take out what tool you need, and that's a lot of those tools that you have forming up for us have tools that we've never been able to have access to, and now we'll learn them thanks to you.
Right, well, yeah, I appreciate that. All right. Well, one of the other aspects of the show is we want to put a human face on the men and women who make up the town departments and make the local government run, and realize that we're all just regular people.
Very much.
Trying to do the best job we can to make the town of Hopkinton run smoothly. I know, again, you're a familiar face. I'm kind of, I've been here about a year, so part of this will be for my own education. I'll get to know you a little bit here on television. So tell me a bit about you. Okay.
Third generation on the Hopkinton Fire Department. Yep. Very lucky. I was born and brought up in Hopkinton. I don't think there's a building or a cart path or a ridge I haven't been on in Hopkinton, or an alley or anything like that. That helps me a lot in my job when it comes time to go someplace or do a function out on the street. A lot of support in the community. I'm very lucky. My wife, Marie, works in the school district. I have 4 boys, Joe, Sean, Matthew, and Kyle, 24 to 16.
Wow.
And through the boys, I've met a whole Now, this is something that I really enjoy. I met a whole cross section of the community that I wouldn't have known through the boys' sports, and I was lucky enough to coach over 50 youth sports teams with the boys as they went through all the systems with football, basketball, baseball, early lacrosse, whatever sport they were playing. I got involved with it, and it was a lot of fun. I met some people that are close friends of mine only because I met them through the boys. And it's like I have some families that have 3 or 4 boys that match up with mine, and so there's a lot of common things in town. And that's an important thing to me. I can see those people in Colellas. I can run into the boys anywhere, and some of them are up in there almost 30-something years old now, and they still call you coach when you see them or say hi and come over and shake your hand. I met one at a wedding that is a police officer in, I think he said Everett now, and he said, I remember you were my coach in youth football, and Coach Clark, how you doing at a wedding just Sunday or Saturday?
Right.
So it was like, those are the things that make, those are the important things in life, those connections, and when those kids can come back, and hopefully you positively influence them somehow, and it's been nothing but a good run for me on that. Yeah.
Well, those are the kind of the quintessential New England small town.
You're right.
And you can't replace.
Right. No. And I hope I always get. That's just a very fond memory. One of my little chapters in Hopkins, and I've been involved with them. Very, very fond to me personally.
Right. So you've been on both sides of the fence as being a firefighter and chief.
Yeah.
Which do you prefer?
Well, I had a personally, now I can only talk for myself, I had a very, very difficult time of making the transition from being a firefighter to being an officer, because for many, many years I was the one at the point of attack. When you're an officer and you're the leader, you're at the point of attack, but you're back a little bit looking at the big picture. You know what I mean? When you're the chief, now you're outside looking at the big picture even wider. And it's like, I think that the transition from officer to chief operationally was a little bit easier for me, but that first transition I made from firefighter, being on the attack line or whatever we're doing, being right at the tip of the spear, being on that operational incident, and going to the lieutenant was my hardest one. And I was told that be patient and learn how to do that, because it was like if it wasn't going fast enough, I would want to step forward and take care of it, but you got to let your guys learn with you. And it's like, so that was a challenge for me. The biggest challenge as a chief was not so much the operational stuff, but I'm learning as I go with the help of people like Suzanne and Chris and Norman. The budget side of it is as crucial as the point of the spear for the incident side, to be on that attack. That's a critical function for my department. And so I thank those people for teaching me and better enabling me to complete that function.
Yeah, well, I think in most fields, but public safety especially, you have to have that frontline experience to know what it's like.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't like to say this, but I think it a lot, is I would never ask the guys to go to do something I haven't done myself. You know what I mean? I've been there, and I know, when you pull up to a building and you can tell by the smoke, if it's tell by the smell of the smoke or the color of the smoke, this isn't just like a trash barrel fire. This is into the studding on the walls. The old Horsehair Plastering Lab got a very distinct smell to it when you're down on Main Street or in some of the older houses in town, or the sheetrock now. It just kicks in, and it's almost like a PowerPoint presentation in your brain. You smell that, and it gives you a picture of what the guys will be dealing with inside, because you did it so many times over the years.
Right.
So it's like that helps making those decisions on the street. You know what I mean? And it's like snap. You don't have a lot of time to think about it. A lot of it's instincts and your knowledge and your training, and then you try to keep everyone safe, and everyone goes home at the end of the day.
Well, there's definitely no substitute for experience. I know personally you're a bit of an outdoorsman.
Yeah. That's a part of my. I'm an avid, been since I was 13 or 14 years old, avid hunter, fisherman. I love to kayak with my wife. Anything outdoors. Oh, you want to go and do this outdoors? I'll jump on the bandwagon with you and go do it. And I just always liked that. Whether it was going to Maine to do some fishing up at Moosehead Lake or ice fishing someplace, just a lot of fun. Again, there's a whole segment of friends that have come around that I grew up with. Some kids and have come all the way through kindergarten within the school system here that I still do that with. You know what I mean? It's like a different, that I don't see them at the fire station or I don't see them here, but I enjoy those functions with them, and it's a lot of fun. I get to see the smiles, and we share a lot of good things, and it's like that's an important part. And my boys are starting to enjoy that outdoors. They'll take the kayaks and go, and so it's fun to watch. Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. That's like I hadn't thought of that sitting here.
So, well, we're running out of time. I just want to remind people, visit us online at hoppingtonma.gov and also the hoppingtonfd.org.
Yep.
Always want to hear from you. Open door policy all around on the town and the fire side. Ask questions, take advantage of the services we have to offer. Follow us on Twitter. Again, reach out to me via email. Let me know what you think of the show. If there's a guest you want to see, if there's a topic you want to cover, if there's something you want to see on the website. And until next time, this is Manager's Corner. Thank you, Chief.
Hello, welcome to HCAM Insights. Did you know that Hopkinton's television station is always looking for your feedback and suggestions? We work very, very hard to cover our community and keep you completely informed and updated on events, activities, and all the news from Hopkinton. How are we doing? What are you looking for that we haven't got covered yet? Drop me an email or give me a call. I really want to know. Oh, and thanks for watching.
You're on public property. By law, minors aren't allowed to smoke in public. You're going to notify your parents. There's some education and material to inform you of the harms of cigarette smoking.
Hello, welcome to HCAM Insights. Did you know we have a special section on our website where we run a slideshow of photographs of recent events in town? We call it The Shoot. Kind of a newsy feel there, and it's located on the front of our website, on the home page, on the top part. The part our news director would say is above the fold. Isn't that cute? It's like our website is a newspaper. I wonder if that would make me Lou Grant.